Why did you choose George Clooney?
Why did I choose George Clooney?
I know there's a million reasons why,
Yeah.
but just what were your personal reasons?
Well, yeah, people keep saying to me, is this a true life? I'm like, no, it's not a true life thing. But I think basically because I just moved to LA and, you know, he was single at the time, as I say, eligible bachelor. And it was all about him all the time. What a nice guy he was, how funny he was. He was like, he seemed to, you know, he couldn't put a foot wrong at the time. He did this humanitarian work, you know, he was caring, he was a charmer. And because he was single at the time, that was really the thing that you know, that kind of led me to think, oh, it has to be George Clooney. I mean, I also, because I had become so aware of his humanitarian work, I'd had this idea for a TV show, and then he's actually involved in a charity called Not On Our Watch, the Enough Project, and there was a book and it was talking about ways to raise awareness to the charity work he did. And one of the ideas was actually to host a screening for friends. And that is what really thought, well, I could make a film instead of making a TV show. I could make a short, a feature, and kind of somehow link the charity into it. And so it kind of all came together that way. It was, you know, the charity work he did, wanting to do something that would maybe help his charity. But there was no real better guy than him as far as, you know, eligible bachelor, funny, charming, nice, talented, you know, all the rest of it.
Right. Quadruple threat.
Yes, yeah, whatever.
Did you always feel that you needed to have him in the film? I think you reached out to him,
Yeah.
but did you feel that that was really important to the story, or you felt that maybe the character's journey could be much different and more beneficial without it?
Yeah, no, I never, I mean, it would have been great to have George Clooney in it because obviously he's George Clooney and it would have made a huge difference. But it was never something I felt the story actually needed. Like, I did have a scene written at the end which was him poking fun at himself, and it would have made a great ending, but the story stands alone with or without him. I mean, it really does. It's almost better, you know. I think for the storyline, it's almost better from a marketing perspective. It would have been great to have George Clooney attached, you know. But no, it didn't really need him in it. It wasn't like I wanted to, you know, people had suggested, oh, you could get George Clooney here and she could bump into him in this scene and this scene and this scene. I mean, that takes all the fun out of the movie if he's in there from, you know, from the first scene. So, yeah, no, it wasn't really necessary to have him in it.
Because it's more about a character's relationship with themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's more for what he stands for. He could be anyone, and he doesn't, you know, he could just be a figment of someone's imagination. It's so not about him, although, you know, he's mentioned a lot in the film. That really isn't the story.
Well, I think, too, and it's a great look at when someone looks for something outside of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you're a teenager, you do it with, you know, celebrities or rock bands too. You know, I can remember putting posters all over my wall, and it's about taking yourself out of your own environment and thinking that's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, if as long as I have that, I'll be good. So I think that's a great. You talked about that in other interviews, and
Yeah.
it's something we all still do with things, but.
Yeah, I think for Poppy it was, you know, she just found out her husband was cheating at her. There's this handsome guy on the television, which actually, you know, George Clooney is there, and oh yeah, you know, it just takes you out of your own reality for a minute, and then obviously she gets a call from Justin, who is her best friend, to go out to LA, and well, yeah, let's not deal with that and let's go off on this little fantasy. But yeah, it was never really about that. It was more about you know, her journey and her finding herself and her realizing that she doesn't need any man actually to make her feel good about herself.